Welcome to Bold Blind Beauty and Beyond Sight Magazine, an online community where real beauty transcends barriers. Bold Blind Beauty's 2020 A Year of Vision campaign also celebrates blind and visually impaired men. I am your host, Nazreen. And for our August segment of Men in Motion, our featured guest is the blind captain himself, Ahmet Ustunel. With an adventurous spirit, he was able to kayak solo, yes, kayak solo, via the Bosphorus Strait, a 3.5-mile route. So let's all give a warm welcome to Captain Ahmet. Hey, Ahmet.
Ahoy, everyone. This is Ahmet, the blind captain. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. What inspired you to become an ocean lover and to be known as the blind captain?
I grew up by the ocean, so I spent a lot of time swimming, fishing, doing a lot of, water activities when I was a kid. And since then, since I was very little, 3, 4 years old, water was my favorite place. And I continue to do sports, water sports, even after I moved to US. And then I became the blind captain around 2018 by crossing the Bosphorus solo.
And you went on a kayak, which incidentally is called or known as a smart kayak. What does that mean?
Smart kayak, when I first started thinking about it, it was a kayak that can pretty much similar to self-driving cars. So I was actually inspired by self-driving cars, seeing them around on the street in San Francisco. I thought, wow, if cars can navigate around the city, densely populated and a lot of traffic, it could be much easier. It should be much easier on the water. So that's how I started. It was just an idea, and I was planning to do something in the future. This was probably early 2000s when self-driving cars were just starting. And then in 2017, there was an award given by the Lighthouse for the Blind called Holman Prize, named after James Holman, which was a British Navy officer and an adventurer, a traveler. He was the most traveled person in the world at his time, and he wrote some bestsellers book, and then for some reason after a while he was forgotten, and to honor him, Lighthouse started this award program called Holman Prize. So I applied with my project and I got the Holman Prize in 2017, and then the design process started. So I, start putting a whole bunch of technologies together to create this smart kayak. And the smart kayak, again, means a kayak with a lot of technologies that allow the person paddle solo, a blind person paddle solo.
First of all, I just want to backtrack a little bit here. For those who don't know where the Bosphorus Strait is, can you share that information with us?
So Bosphorus Strait is a body of water between Europe and Asia. It is located in Turkey. So it's a geographical border separating Europe and Asia. It's a symbolic place. And I did my crossing there because that's the area I grew up around. And I used to sit around Bosphorus, when I was in middle school, high school, and imagine, one day I should be able to, paddle or sail or use a fishing boat around here. And I remember when we were studying Greek mythology in high school, there was a Greek hero called King Phineas. He was blind, and he used to guide sailors through Bosphorus from Black Sea to Mediterranean. although he's blind, he was able to do this. And I was really inspired inspired by reading those Greek mythologies, because usually blindness or blind people are portrayed not as heroes, not that often.
That's so true.
So that's why, I was thinking, oh, I will be King Phineas one day. And even if I cannot guide other sailors, I will just guide myself.
You were talking a few minutes about the smart kayak and certain technologies. Can you tell us a little bit about those certain technologies?
So for an autonomous, or let's say semi-autonomous kayak or any vehicle, couple of things are must, right? So the first one is a navigation system. It is pretty available and simple. It is a GPS system that will tell you, you know, how to get from point A to point B. So that was the first system we put together by using some, satellite GPS systems and something similar to autopilot. So we recorded different routes on the Bosphorus or around my training sites. And it actually kind of creates a geofence around the route you are going to take. And if you deviate from your course, it lets you know by saying, oh, you are 5 degrees off to the west. So come back to east a little bit, until you get back. It keeps warning you. So it's basically very similar to autopilot. And the other system you need is an obstacle avoidance. To avoid any kind of collision on the water, which
Absolutely.
which we tried whole bunch of things and hacks. And this is a lot more complicated and expensive area of autonomous vehicles, especially on the water. You are using a lot of sensors, which cannot be accurate as on the land, because light reflects from the water, and you
Mhm.
have constant motion, up and down with the waves, so the sensors are not very reliable. So that was the hard part. And the third one is also getting to know the traffic. So the area I was crossing is one of the busiest water channels in the world. So there are a lot of huge tankers and freighters are coming back and forth from Black Sea to Mediterranean. So it was like crossing a highway. So I need to know which freighters are coming and how long they are gonna take to reach me, all that stuff. And then for that we used a marine data system. And so those were the three main technologies we focused on. But depending on the area you are working, or depending on the watercraft you are gonna adapt, these technologies might slightly differ. But I would say the main, three main things you need are navigation, obstacle avoidance, and the traffic control.
So, being
So
completely blind, how did you train for this solo journey?
how did I train? Well, the training also had a couple of different areas I need to train for. Well, first of all, I need physical training to be able to cross. Well, it was not a very long distance, but it could be very choppy, and it has a strong current. So even if it is not a long distance, it requires a certain physical stamina. And I also need to cross it quickly, without getting caught in the traffic, right? So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I needed some physical training. So I put a goal for myself. I said, before the crossing, I'm gonna paddle 500 miles in 8 months. So I get up at 5 a.m. every Saturday, Sunday morning. I went to my training site, paddle 20, 25 miles a day. And then before the crossing, actually, I exceeded my goal. I paddled about 650 miles or so. And so that was the easy part. So physical training, rain or shine, I get up and do my paddling, and I was in good shape. And then I also needed training with the technology, because remember, this technology I didn't have. We were developing it at the same time. So whenever we have a new software or hardware, I used to take it with me to my training site and, try it on the water and give a report back to the engineers. This works, this doesn't work, let's change this, let's add this feature. So it was constantly changing. So that required a lot of tech training. And also, I feel like I trained myself emotionally as well, because there were a lot of
Yeah.
ups and downs, during those 8-9 months. Uh, well, the basic, the easiest thing was the challenge with technology. So something fails, and then we say, oh, this doesn't work, and we don't have that much time. We have like 3 months. What are we gonna do? We need to find a plan B or replace this technology with something else. And then that is the type of thing I can deal better, because it's a troubleshooting issue, and I like problem solving and working on that kind of stuff. So that didn't affect me that much. But more than that, there were times people were discouraging, or my project almost stopped by the Coast Guard, and they didn't allow me to do this, and people were like, oh, why are you gonna do this solo? You can just sit on a tandem kayak and paddle with a sighted person. Why even you are trying this? So that kind of stuff took more energy for me to deal with.
Yeah.
So that's why I need to train myself also emotionally. Just close my ears and not to listen to people. So
It's a
that
good
was
thing you
also
didn't. You
part
didn't
of the
listen to them.
training. Yeah,
Good thing you did close your ears. I've been actually on like a paddle boat, which is kind of like a kayak, and you do have to paddle. And yeah, I could see you having to really physically train that paddle, sitting in that position in such a manner, just on top of the water like that. So
exactly.
what?
But that was the fun part, because for me, anytime on the water is fine, and I mean, I love it. So I didn't regret any second of it.
Amit, can you share some of the challenges that you encountered during your trip?
Well, challenges, I mentioned a little bit about the challenges. So most challenges were actually easy to handle, like dealing with technology. We had a lot of trial and error with the technology, because everything was new, and the team working with me were all volunteers. So, they were professional engineers, but, they were just spending their own personal time on this. So it was kind of hard to finish things quickly. So things were taking time, and we were constantly changing things. But as I said, that kind of challenge was easy to handle, because I like, working on tech. The biggest challenge, as I said, was dealing with people and the negative ideas about the project. Other stuff I don't see as challenge, like I capsized multiple times in the winter in like 45-degree water.
Cold.
I got pneumonia. I don't know. I got caught in 35-mile wind. Had to wait like 6 hours to be able to get back to the land. All that stuff I don't see as challenge. I mean, they were mishaps. Yes, it could happen to anyone, anytime. But they were. I was prepared. I was prepared for that kind of.
Yeah, you absolutely were. One other thing I wanted to ask you was, did you have any sponsorship behind you? You keep mentioning a team. Was there any
Oh
company
yeah.
sponsoring you?
So I had a lot of sponsors. So the main sponsor, of course, was the Lighthouse for the Blind, Holman Price. So
Hmm.
they paid for all the equipment expenses and travel and all that stuff.
Oh, great.
And other than that, I had Hobby Kayaks was one of my sponsors. and the volunteer engineer team was from AT&T, although the company didn't sponsor the engineers,
Hmm.
just organized and created a work group for this project. And so those were the main sponsors.
A lot of folks in our community are actually, still applying for Home and Prize. It seems to be a big thing each year. So let's see what other amazing things come out of that venture from Home and Prize.
I definitely encourage anyone to apply for the next round, because I mean, it's not only gives you the opportunity to to realize your dreams by sponsoring you, and also it helps you to connect with other prize winners and
Yeah.
other people with great ideas. And now we have this will be the 5th year, I think. Next year will be the 5th year, so there'll be a big group of people helping each other and giving ideas and exchanging great projects.
One quote that I absolutely love from your bio is when you're talking about blindness as a characteristic rather than being a limitation for a person. What does this mean, and why is this important to you? Because I've never heard it spun like that before.
Well, this is the approach or philosophy I grew up with, I would say, learning from other blind mentors, blind people I met when I was younger. Well, it means, briefly, we have a lot of adjectives, a lot of characteristics that define us. I am Turkish, I am blind, I am, medium height, I am, 40 years old, I have black hair. I can count like hundreds of
Yes.
characteristics about myself, and blindness is just one of them.
One of them.
It
Yes,
doesn't have to
yes.
be the most important one. It doesn't have to be a negative one. I mean, each characteristics actually has both negative, positive, or neutral implications. But how we define it is because of the physical environment or the social prejudice or negative perceptions. It could be negative or positive. And blindness, unfortunately, because of the you know prejudice and the social barriers, it could perceive as a negative
Yeah.
characteristic, but it
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
have to be. It doesn't have to be. So that's why I just see it as a characteristic, not a defining, underlining aspect of myself.
Who is your major influencer?
I don't have like one person I can tell. I was, looking up for this person, but when I was younger, around 14, 15, I started thinking about, my kind of like my future as a blind person, where I am and I mean, where I was and what I'm going to do in the future. And around that time, I didn't have a really good cane skills. I was about to start high school. And I was thinking, I cannot rely on my friends all the time to go places. I, need to do my own thing. And then I convinced my parents to take me to this organization, a blindness organization in Turkey. And I met some blind university students, blind college students. And they were just ordinary blind people, doing their own thing, studying and having an independent life. They had girlfriends, they were partying, they were doing cool stuff. And I was like, okay, that is how I am gonna be. I will just be a normal person, do normal things as a blind person. So after seeing, those people um, around, 14, 15, I felt like, cool. So I will be one of those people, just do ordinary stuff, regular stuff, and don't worry about it that much. So I think, meeting other blind people doing ordinary things and being successful was a big influence on me. I cannot say, just one person, but the event, just meeting other mentors.
Finally, if you can describe yourself in one word, what would that be?
I would say adventure. I love trying new things, being adventurous. So that keeps me going. I always have a new idea and something new to try.
So, Captain, how can we all reach you?
All right, so you guys can find me online on social media. You can check my Facebook page, Ahmet, Ahmet, Blind Captain, and also my website, www.theblindcaptain.com, and my email. You can shoot me an email. Again, my name, Ahmet, at theblindcaptain.com. If you guys have an idea to share, or if you are a kayaker or sailor or rower, any person who is interested in water sports and learn about the techniques or the technology, you can just shoot me an email. So yeah, hope to hear from you guys.
Thanks, Ahmet, for sharing your incredible journey with us and being our man in motion for August 2020. You can find Ahmet's journey and so much more in Beyond Sight magazine at www.boldblindbeauty.com. Thanks for listening.